They're calling it the Big Beautiful Bill. We're calling it what it is, the Big Billionaire Bill. And we need to kill the bill. Behind Trump's political slogans is a brutal agenda to gut the working class to feed the rich. It's been pushed and paid for by the shadiest Wall Street shadow funders like Charles Koch and Timothy Mellon, and masterminded by none other than Project 2025's chief architect, self-described Christian nationalist Russell Vought. Here are the top 5 ways the Big Billionaire Bill is coming for all of us. 1. Slashing Medicaid and SNAP, condemning tens of millions to poverty, starvation, and death. Medicaid and Medicare weren't gifts from the rich and powerful. They're hard-won victories from the 1960s. Dr. King fought for them, unions fought for them, and the right wing has been trying to tear them down ever since. Reagan even recorded a record called Ronald Reagan Speaks Out Against Socialized Medicine to warn that Medicaid would lead to communism. Let's be clear what that means. More than 80 million people rely on Medicaid. That's 1 in 4 Americans. Children? 2 in 5 births in the US are covered by it, and nearly half of all children see the doctor through Medicaid or CHIP coverage. Seniors? 60% of nursing home residents pay their bills with Medicaid checks. Disabled people? Millions depend on it for daily survival. Now, they want to add bureaucratic red tape and limit federal spending, knowing full well it will lead to over 10 million people losing their health care. Even if you think none of that affects you, or you're a billionaire who prefers ketamine over human connection, you will be affected by this. Medicaid isn't a niche program, but a central pillar of our entire healthcare system, making up nearly 20% of all healthcare spending. Make major cuts, and that means more hospital closures, more mass layoffs, and the healthcare system that's already in crisis just crumbles further. SNAP, formerly known as food stamps, feeds over 40 million people. Cut it, and people starve in the richest country on earth. Grocers, farmers, and food workers all take the hit too. This is how you hollow out a society. You pull out the pillars that hold it up. 2. Tax cuts for the rich. Again, Trump is calling this a tax cut for working people. Don't fall for it. Remember the last round of Trump's tax cuts in 2017? An estimated 83% of those cuts packed the pockets of the top 1%. Now they're trying to make these cuts permanent. This bill hands trillions more to America's country club guest list, not working families. To hide who's really running off with the bag, they're throwing working people a few breaks too, but don't miss the forest through the trees. What good is a tax credit for tips while they destroy the programs that help tip workers survive? What good is a bump in the child tax credit while ripping apart Medicaid and SNAP that keep kids alive? They give with one hand and they rob us blind with the other. And here's the real irony. These tax cuts blow up the deficit by $4.5 trillion, which means the so-called deficit hawks will come back and say, time to tighten the belt again. That's when they come for Medicare, Social Security, and whatever they think they can get away with. 3. Gutting federal pensions, killing dignified retirement one job at a time. Trump's budget quietly goes after one of the last remaining secure retirements in America, federal pensions. They want federal workers to pay more in and get less out, to thank them for their civic duty. In their perfect world, we work till we die. The only bereavement leave the boss wants to give us is for our own funeral. As DOGE has taken a chainsaw to the federal workforce, they've now cut nearly 300,000 jobs. It's all a deliberate effort to break their spirits and push them out. Vought himself said it clearly. When they wake up in the morning, we want them to not want to go to work because they're increasingly viewed as the villains. We want their funding to be shut down. We want to put them in trauma. This includes workers who protect our health and environment, support affordable housing access, and administer resources for underfunded schools. It's just the other side of the cuts to Medicaid and SNAP. By pushing more and more people out of the workforce, the workers left to hold up the social safety net are set up to fail. If those programs falter and struggle, the billionaires will only keep pushing to cut deeper and deeper, if not privatize them outright to the highest bidder. 4. Rolling back green jobs as the climate crisis deepens. Remember during the presidential debate when Trump and Harris were arguing about who would frack harder? That's somehow where we are despite getting battered by natural disasters. The bill slashes clean energy infrastructure spending, destroying thousands of union jobs and letting Chevron and Exxon burn up the planet. The modest investments in mitigating climate change made in the last few years through the Inflation Reduction Act and infrastructure bills were the minimum. Rolling them back now shuts down the plans for projects we need and takes away the jobs that building trades union members were counting on to feed their families. The billionaire plan for climate change is shooting up to Mars on a rocket. 5. Money for war and deportation. While they slash food, healthcare, and pensions, there's plenty of money for what their priorities are. Billions more for arms manufacturers, prisons, and deportation agents. They'll gut every social program, but they'll never run out of cash for men with guns. This budget doesn't reflect security, it reflects fear, violence, and white supremacy. They would rather lock up and deport immigrant families than raise wages or fund schools. They would rather drop bombs on Gaza than build housing at home. This is a class war. We didn't start it, but we sure better finish it. This bill and the assault from the billionaires on working people has to be stopped. Not just with lawsuits or electioneering for 2026, but with a real fight. A fight led by the labor movement, joined by working people from all across this country. That means educating, agitating, and organizing our coworkers, shed light on these attacks, and take it to the streets. We killed the Bush cuts, we fought the Reagan cuts, we can kill the Big Billionaire Bill too.